even when they're not being affected by it.
How long is the hunger strike going?
It's going to be, 8 weeks. But our 8th week is going to be open to anybody who wants to join us.
Okay, so listeners, this is the time to actually stand up and do what you say you believe in. So
that's from August 20th to August 26th.
All right, so right when my kids go back to school for the fall.
Yeah.
So hunger strike open to everyone. And are you hoping that as it goes each week, more and more people will notice and start supporting the work that you're doing?
I think as long as people realize that we're willing to starve ourselves and deprive ourselves from food, I think people should really understand that inner cities are really going through many struggles that a lot of people aren't talking about. It's
sort of a buzzword to talk about intersectionality in a lot of these kinds of movements. You, the four of you, are all Hispanic students, but it sounds like you've been working with groups from throughout the city, different demographic groups. And so how are you seeing these struggles that you and your neighborhood are having as being connected to the struggles that people in other neighborhoods and other demographics in Chicago are having?
We've talked to some of the kids in St. Savannah, they go through the same struggle, sometimes at night that, you just hear the drive-bys and the shootings that happen, they don't let you sleep sometimes, or it's you see on social media, some innocent kid got killed, in a cross shooting or something like that, and you see that there's low funding in schools that goes around the whole city because they're investing their money on other things, they started investing money on $95 million in Cobb Academy instead of investing it in the communities that really need it.
Yeah, also under Chicago Strong, we have kids of different backgrounds. We have black kids, we have Latino kids, we have white kids, we have everything. And we really want to show that this isn't an issue that is only affecting people of color. And also I want to bring up that gun violence isn't just what's happening to students, to whatever people really think about. It's also happening related to gang violence. Not only are the quote-unquote innocent people being killed, gang violence is really an issue that a lot of people don't talk about because they think that those people aren't innocent, but everyone goes through the same pain and we all bleed the same color. So I think people should really be talking about that.
And a couple of you were at the march that we had in Chicago yesterday and around the country for the Families Belong Together march, which is related to immigration. Do you think that these issues are connected and aligned in any way? Do you find that students who are being active in these kinds of issues care about a whole range of different things?
I think what we can get out of this is that people are willing to stand up for what we believe in. And sometimes our politicians and our government in general doesn't want to realize the power of the people because they want to focus on how much power they have.
What are some of the other issues that you guys have been thinking about, talking about in your communities?
Some schools, they're not
some schools are not funded because they're minorities and they don't get enough money because they don't focus on them that much. Because they're low-income neighborhoods too, but they all matter because still it's young kids trying to get out of the neighborhoods and get out and make something of their lives to bring up their minority group.
And also I want to bring up that a lot of our parents in Brighton Park, they're immigrants, and because they're immigrants, they think that their voice doesn't matter, so that's why we're speaking up for them. And a lot of people don't want to be targeted by the government because they're immigrants or their parents are immigrants, and they don't find any point in voting because they're just going to be targeted back. So we want to be the voice for those who aren't speaking up.
All right. Are there other things that you want to make sure that we talk about?
I want people to realize that gang violence isn't just school shootings and doesn't only affect white people or Latino kids or black kids. This really affects everyone everywhere. We've seen it happen in concerts, in churches, in Walmarts,
in art museums, in gas stations.
It can happen anywhere.
Yeah, it can just happen anywhere. So if they don't start speaking up now, I think people shouldn't wait till it affects them to start speaking up and caring for others.
Because you hear it a lot, oh, you're young, you can't really do anything right now, wait till you're older. But it's, in the end of the day, you're going to be the one living in this country and those laws will affect you later on.
Yeah. And so I have young kids, and a lot of our listeners have kids as well. What would you want us to encourage our children to be doing so that they are paying attention, so that we're not telling them that they're too young and they can't make change?
Most of the people in our group are 16 years old, 15, 14 years old, and a lot of parents decide to feed fear into the children and tell them that they're too young to be speaking up about this, or they shouldn't be talking about it because this is an issue that only adults should be talking about. But it could really affect anyone. If gang violence could be found in schools and in daycares, I think those people should be able to listen and talk about those issues too, because we can all be affected by it.
Yeah, because it's always like, oh, you shouldn't question authority, but then we have our First Amendment, right, that we could express our freedom of expression and everything. We could say what we want, as even at whatever age, so we get to say what we feel affects us every day.
What are you teaching kids in the summer camp that a couple of you are doing? Are you talking? Are they talking about these sorts of issues? Are you thinking about them?
We're actually teaching them about their culture, where they came from, their music, culture, and other stuff. And we're trying to, little by little talk to them about gun violence, see what's actually going around them. And we don't want them to end up in the streets and
drinking. Yeah, we want them to realize that they're in the summer camp because we care about them and people care about them. So by teaching them about their culture and their music and where their parents came from, we want them to realize that they matter and they belong in that community. So we don't want them joining gangs and ending up in places that they shouldn't be ending up in.
Do any of you know people who are in gangs?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it something that is hard for people to avoid?
Yes, because nowadays you see gangsters all over the neighborhood and walking around.
I think it really is hard to avoid gang violence because wherever you go, whether you go to the corner store, whether you go to the park, whether you're going to school, you're always going to find just gang members everywhere. So there's really no safe space in our community for these children to go to.
And do you think that things like this summer camp, that is the way to start to break this cycle? Or are there other things that you would like to see the government, the city, federal government doing to help sort of break this cycle of gun violence and gang violence?
Yeah. I think summer camp is just the start to what we want and just a little peek into what our community needs. Because not only has our alderman or our mayor not really invested in our communities and just put a safe spot in our community so kids could go to when their parents aren't around, because we know that a lot of our parents can barely meet ends and pay for the rent. So they're always at work and their children always stay home or go outside and hang out in the streets where nobody's really watching them. So we need somewhere for kids to be safe at.
Yeah, because always doing after school programs, I've been doing them sports in high school and everything, they help out, they take up kids' time, so they're actually focusing on other things instead of joining gangs or everything like that, and have better influences, not doing drugs and all that other things.
And we're very thankful with our priest, Manuel Dorantes, because he created a plaza at a church where kids could go hang out, play soccer, or just hang out in general. So I think he's probably one of the only people that have stood up in our community for the people who aren't being heard. Well, I want to tell people to not only register to vote, but also vote. And if they are voting, push people who aren't registered to vote to realize that their voice matters and they should be voting.
Do you think it would be helpful to bring in people who could help people register to vote into your community?
We are actually working on helping people register to vote ourselves
in November.
Yeah, but for midterm elections, we don't want to wait till the actual elections or alderman elections. We want people to start speaking up now.
One of the things that people talk about is that sometimes it's hard for certain communities to register to vote, either because they don't have IDs or because they maybe move around a lot. Is this something that is affecting your community at all?
Most people are either immigrants and aren't citizens, so they can't vote. But the other half of the people, they just aren't aware of what people they should be voting for, so they don't bother getting up and going to vote.
Or some people are too scared to go in the process too.
Is there a language barrier at all? If there were voting guides that were circulated in Spanish, would that help?
Yeah, because it expands our understanding and everything.
Well, I really want to thank you guys for coming here and talking to me. You guys are less than half my age, but I'm super impressed and excited that you're taking such an active role, and I hope that we will see you guys in government roles maybe someday. And certainly I'm really excited that you will all be voters in a few years and can help vote for change, because I think that's really, really important and exciting. So thank you for the work that you're doing, and we will on our Twitter feed be heavily promoting your hunger strike and your event shutting down Dan Ryan, so hopefully that will help bring some awareness to the issue too.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening to Two Broads Talking Politics. Our theme song is called Are You Listening? Off the album Elephant-Shaped Trees by the band Imunari, and we're using it with express permission of the band. Our logo and all original artwork is by Matthew Weflin and is done expressly for Two Broads Talking Politics. We can be found on our website at twobroadstalkingpolitics.com. You can reach us by email at twobroadstalkingpolitics@gmail.com, on Twitter at twobroadstalk, on Facebook and Instagram, and you can support us on patreon.com. You can find our podcast on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and anywhere podcasts are found. If you are interested in advertising on Two Broads Talking Politics, please email us at twobroadstalkingpolitics@gmail.com.